Welcome back to Magical Moms Travel Podcast. We are going to switch things up a bit in this episode and talk about Disneyland in California. Woo woo! Something to be said about visiting the original place where it all started. I mean, Disneyland is so special just knowing that that's where it all started. That's the original home, right? And then there's obviously like the location. Disneyland is more compact, so it's like just a tighter area, fitting a lot more in, so allowing for easy walking between the two parks and resorts. Lena had just mentioned that from a few of the hotels, you walk through the downtown Disney district, while the entrance to both parks is literally the same entrance. One park is on this side, one park is on the other side. So Disney World is spread over 40 square miles and requires more planning and transportation. You can literally walk from one entrance, like I said, of Disneyland to the entrance of California's Adventure in moments, honestly, as well as the walk to the hotels in just a few minutes. So this is really nice for visitors who maybe aren't as familiar with the parks, as they can easily access both without needing a fancy transportation system. Lena, why don't you go through a little bit about like the unique attractions that Disneyland has versus Disney World? I know you mentioned some of it, but let's hear about some of that again.
Yeah, so Disneyland is going to have some of the exclusive attractions that are more classic Disney, like the Matterhorn bobsled. They also have Indiana Jones Adventure in Adventureland. They have the original Pirates of the Caribbean layout, which I'm gonna say is better. Sorry, not sorry. They also, in comparison, in Disney World, you're gonna have a lot of other unique attractions like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and Tron and all those things. So they each have their own unique flair. I think that in Disneyland's case, a lot of it's going to be more classic ride systems and just a little bit more nostalgia and coziness comes to mind. California Adventure, like I said, is its own thing. All on its own. Just being able to experience Cars Land is such a huge thing. And I know for my family, we were so happy to do that. And then Pixar Pier is just super cute as well. It's great for families who love Pixar characters and the movies. And of course, Avengers Campus, another huge thing that we will never get in Disney World because of the licensing agreements. So again, I think that just for these unique factors, Disneyland is worth a visit. But let's go into some differences here when it comes to park hopping. Like Carla mentioned, the parks are literally right across from each other. There is just like a big walkway, and then you have one turnstile on one side and one turnstile on the other side. So you can park hop so easily here that pretty much every client that I get, I recommend that you get park hopper, unless they have maybe small kids and they don't think that they can maneuver that, but it's so much easier than Disney World park hopping. Disney World park hopping, you're going to need to get on a bus or another form of transportation, and it could take you 20 minutes to get from here to there, but that's not what happens in Disneyland. Disneyland still does have some rules with park hopping, so you can start park hopping at 11 o'clock and then you can move between the parks as much as you like. I will also say that in Disneyland, between the two parks, they do alternate early entry hours and they alternate their entertainment options. So sometimes one park might close earlier than the other, and that's when your park hopper is going to be in handy. Or if one park is going to have the fireworks, Disneyland's going to have the fireworks, and you're going to want to hop to Disneyland to see the fireworks. So this allows you that strategic advantage here to visit both parks in one day, hop in between, and see what you want to see throughout that time.
Yeah, I love that. You know, it's funny. One episode we will never record if we're doing a Disneyland one is the different forms of transportation for Disneyland because there isn't. It's
So
your
true. So
versus
true.
doing an episode for all the different forms of transportation for Disney World, which is a much more complicated system. So, just the simplicity alone of Disneyland, I think, is a really nice, unique feature that can draw people to the parks, especially if they're just happen to be on the West Coast and visiting, because it is an easier system where you can just hop into a park for a day, whereas at Disney World, I don't feel like that's as easy to do. So I love that. Okay, so we're going to move into the area resorts in Disneyland just a little bit. So, as far as the number of total resorts, there are three on site hotels. There is the Disneyland Hotel, that's what it's called, right? So, again, you're not going to find the Disney World Hotel at Disney World. So, the Disneyland Hotel is the original hotel with classic Disney charm, offering themed rooms and pools. It is closest to the Disneyland entrance out of all of the hotels, and it has a special security entrance into downtown Disney. How cool is that? It's the first hotel in the world to have a monorail station with direct access into Disneyland. Disneyland Hotel is also home to Trader Sam's, which is an immersive tiki bar known for its elaborate cocktails and interactive atmosphere. The hotel has retained much of its mid century charm while incorporating modern amenities, making it just a nostalgic yet luxurious stay. The second hotel is Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. So this hotel opened in 2001, and this is a luxurious retreat inspired by the arts and crafts movement. So it offers direct access to Disney California Adventure Park, making it a favorite for convenience, of course. The hotel's design reflects the grandeur of California's historic lodges with rich woodwork. Can you picture this now? Stained glass, stone details throughout, and guests can indulge in the award-winning, I think it's called Tenaya Stone Spa, or they can dine at Napa Rose, a fine dining restaurant featuring California cuisine. The Grand Californian also boasts multiple pools, including the Redwood Pool with a 90-foot water slide, and offers exclusive suites and club level access for a truly premium experience as the first Disney Resort hotel to achieve LEED certification. I don't even know what that is. Maybe Laina can explain that. It combines luxury with sustainability, all while immersing guests in the natural beauty of California. So I haven't stayed at this resort, but I picture it as like the granddaddy of Grand Floridian Hotel is what I think. Like maybe Grand Floridian on steroids is what I'm picturing with all of
It's Yeah, it's like the experience of the Grand Floridian combined with, like, Wilderness Lodge. So, you got
that.
that, like, Wilderness Lodge feel, and then you have the amenities and the service of a Grand Floridian, so it kind of mixes those 2 together,
I
if you
love it.
will.
Well, and Wilderness Lodge is, I don't know, I feel like that's a luxury hotel in and of itself. So I love that. That's a good comparison. And then we have Disney. So Disney's Pixar Place Hotel, reimagined to celebrate the creative and fun of Pixar Animation Studios, offers a vibrant and playful atmosphere. It's located just steps away from Disneyland Resort, and it immerses guests in the colorful worlds of beloved Pixar films. So the hotel features whimsical decor inspired by the movies like Toy Story, The Incredibles, and Finding Nemo, with themed rooms and playful details throughout. Guests can enjoy the rooftop pool with stunning views of the fireworks, which is so awesome, along with family friendly dining options that reflect Pixar's spirit of innovation and storytelling. It's the perfect blend of comfort and creativity, making every stay a memorable adventure. So, Lena's going to talk about nearby hotels in a second, but as you can tell, like, just wrapped into these three hotels in Disneyland, like you can't go wrong no matter which one you stay at. They're all so unique and special to Disneyland and California Adventure itself that you can pick one that sounds the best for you, but they're all going to be a great experience. What I do love about Disneyland, and Lena's going to move into this, is all of the nearby hotel options and how awesome and unique those are to the area and location of Disneyland versus what Disney World looks like.
Yeah, I would agree with you that you can't go wrong with any of the on-site hotels, and I think we'll go into a little bit detail on why you might wanna pick that one over a Good Neighbor hotel. Um, but each three of them are special in their own way. And so, really, just figuring out what kind of vibe you want, what your budget looks like, and where you want to spend the most time. Because location wise, Grand Californian and Pixar Pier are a little bit closer to California Adventure. And then you have Disneyland Hotel, which is closest to Disneyland entrance. So, taking all of that into account on where you wanna pick where you wanna stay, but either way, you're gonna have an amazing time when you stay on site at one of those hotels. Now, a lot of people might get confused here because in Disneyland, you're going to see a lot of hotels pop up. If you go into a search bar or if you look at a map, you're going to see a lot of motels, hotels in that area. And you're like, that's totally different when you compare that Disney World. And they're going to offer a variety of accommodations. Some of them are going to be walking distance to downtown Disney and Disneyland, and some of them are going to be a short drive away. Many of these hotels have access to the area resort shuttle that will drive you to the gates of Disneyland if you don't want to walk there. A lot of them might say they're walking distance, but it could be a 15-20 minute walk by the time you get to the turnstiles. So you really want to take into account, use Google Maps, use a travel advisor like us to figure out which ones are actually going to be closest to you that will mm, hit the mark on all the other things that you're looking for, like a nice pool, a water slide, whatever it is. Um, yeah, so keeping in mind, in 1955, they developed all these little motels, so they're not gonna be as fancy as you might be expecting. So they are gonna be a little bit more motel style, simple, very low amenities. But for what it is, you're very close to the park, so you just wanna weigh your options and see which way you wanna go with that. All right, let's move into my favorite subject. Just putting it out there. Food, theme park food, okay? So, when you talk about food options in Disneyland and California Adventure, of course, you're gonna have the classic snacks like churros and Dole Whip and Mickey-shaped pretzels, of course, but I will say that the snacks here compared to Disney World are just a higher quality. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they just take more time, if they're making more, or they have the access to the fresh bakeries. I really don't know. But the snacks in Disneyland are top notch, and probably one of my favorite memories is all the food that we got in Disneyland. On top of that, I will say the differences is they're gonna have sit down dining like we do in Disney World, but they don't have that many. They don't have that many, and I think that um, they're hit or miss whether you wanna invest in that or not in your vacation. Yes, it's nice to have a sit down dining every night or in the middle of the day, but it's not necessary when it comes to food. To get quality food, you can get lots of quick service options here in Disneyland, California and California Adventure, both parks. But notable dining options that are sit down dining in Disneyland are gonna be Blue Bayou, which is inspired by the Louisiana, so it offers Southern cuisine and it overlooks Pirates of the Caribbean, which is really cool. They also have Plaza Inn, which is an iconic location because Walt Disney himself, and his wife, they took part in all of this designing, of course. And his wife, Lillian, was the designer of the interior of this restaurant. So that one, it's famous for its specialty fried chicken, and it also has a specialty character breakfast, which is the only character location inside Disneyland or Disney's California Adventure. We're just gonna maybe call this DCA from now on. DCA, just putting it out there because it's kind of like a mouthful to say that every single time. Um, but so if you ever hear anybody else talking about DCA, you know where it comes from. Disney's California Adventure. On that side, on the DCA side of the park, you're gonna see a lot more unique and maybe I would say more ethnic, diverse foods. So some spots in this park are going to include Pim's Test Kitchen in Adventures Campus. You also have the funnel cake fries from winners. You also have Asian-inspired dishes and delicious bread bowls, which are baked fresh, and I think they are just amazing. That's in Pacific Wharf Cafe. You have quesabria tacos, you have chili con queso, and all of the amazing foods in DCA that you could probably spend 3 days just eating there. I'm not even kidding. There's so many good, delicious things there. As a sit-down option in DCA and Disney's California Adventure, I always recommend Light Lamp Lounge. It has really fun and unique twists on things like the lobster nachos, delicious. And they have colorful cocktails with fun names and all the things. And you get the prime spot of the Pixar Pal Around Mickey Wheel, if you will, while you're sitting there having lunch or dinner. Both parks will host food festivals and events. Like this year, we saw Pixar Fest, and we also are going to see a smaller scale of a food and wine festival, but they do have it. And they also have like a Lunar New Year celebration, all kinds of things go on in Disney's California Adventure.
Woo! I was not hungry before we started recording this episode, but now I'm wondering if we can just skip the rest because I'm hungry and I want all the foods that are clearly not in my pantry that are offered at Disneyland. So, for all you foodies out there, if you are doubting the size, because size does not matter, just so you know, there is going to be lots of food choices for you, which I love. Love, love, love. Okay, so we're going to move into character interactions, and I'm just going to put this out there that the character interactions in Disneyland, DCA are nothing like the character interactions in Disney World. Land is much more chill is the word that comes to mind, where you're walking with all of the park guests, but you're literally walking with characters too. And so there's a lot of variety. Disneyland offers a wide range of character interactions from classic Disney princesses to Pixar characters and Marvel heroes, and they're literally just walking around. So the spontaneity of the characters in Disneyland, I will say, it just doesn't, I know this episode's about Disneyland, but it's nice to compare the two. It doesn't exist in Disney World unless you're maybe at like a special event, like a party or something. But even then, the spontaneity of character interactions are often way more spontaneous at Disneyland, with characters appearing in various locations throughout the park without scheduled times. It's very common to see characters wandering around the park and interacting with guests and literally having conversations. And I think that that's a really cool part of Disneyland that I think makes it just so special. And then there is, and Laina had mentioned this, there is character dining. Guests can also enjoy character dining experiences at places like Goofy's Kitchen in the Disneyland Hotel, and then Storyteller's Cafe in Disney's Grand Californian Hotel and Spa. And then there's a lot of new experiences, like with the introduction of Avengers Campus and Disney California Adventure. Guests can now meet Marvel characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, and the Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's just like very interactive. Characters, definitely a huge bonus, and for those of you families who love characters but maybe don't necessarily love waiting in all the lines to see them, but really just want to see them in a more magical, more natural atmosphere, you're definitely going to see that here in Disneyland. And I think that's captivating for especially the younger kids to see their favorite characters literally just walking around and hopping and skipping or catching you in a web or doing whatever. So I love that part about how different it is at Disneyland in terms of character interactions than it is at Disney World.
That I think one of our fondest memories is we had just finished breakfast, and we were finishing breakfast in Galaxy's Edge, heading back to Frontierland, and we just happened to stumble upon Pocahontas, and she was looking over the river's edge, and then we just chatted about what adventure she was going to get in that day. So, and there was nobody in line. There was no, like, obviously she had a helper, a character attendant, but it just was, yeah, it's magical and spontaneous, and
Okay,
it was
we
just
hope you
beautiful. So,
enjoyed this
one of my favorite
fun-filled
memories.
overview of Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. From the basics to the unique attractions, park hopping, the best places to stay, all the incredible food, and those magical character interactions. Hopefully, we've convinced you that Disneyland is worth a visit, even if you're trekking all the way from the East Coast. Be sure to tune into our bonus episode, where we're going to share our expert tips and a sample itinerary to make your visit unforgettable. Don't forget to follow us on social media for even more magical tips, and if you need help planning this Disneyland getaway, you know where to find us. See you real soon.